Tina Traster of Rockland County Business Journal.
All right, well, let's see. Shall we talk about retail or should we talk about real estate? You pick.
I flip a coin and I come up with retail.
All right then. All right, well, we had another week of pretty bad news. So 91 people will be getting pink slips at Lord & Taylor. We knew they were closing. But, when you put a number on how many people are actually being let go, you start to feel the pain. That's almost 100 people who this Christmas season will be out of a job. So that's pretty sad. And we also reported that we know Destination Maternity, we had previously reported that they were in bankruptcy, closing stores, and now we know that they're closing their Nanuet location. We also know that there's pressure on Party City, also in bankruptcy, and they just upped their projection.
That's been that way for a long time, though, right?
Party City?
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that I was thinking about all last week as I was reporting on closures is the retail analysts largely point to apparel and what they call soft line goods, which is essentially home goods. Like we know that Bed Bath & Beyond is closing its Palisades Center location. And I was thinking, though, about places like Party City, which is not apparel. I don't know if you know the store Papyrus. They sell paper products. They're in the Palisades Center as well. There's some of those that they're closing stores as well, bookstores. I mean, I think that it can look overwhelmingly like apparel and soft goods, but I think what we're also seeing are these category-specific stores that have locations that are just way too large. They have a niche in the market, but they've got too much space, just too much inventory, too much space. I think if you make a comparison to, let's look at the broadcast industry. Okay, let's look at the way the broadcast industry with cable and on-demand has become really sectored. Well, I think it's the same with retail. And I think there's a correlation between the specificity of retail and the fact that these big boxes, these big box stores and these big department stores just don't have the bodies. They just don't have the bodies. One other thing that I reported on, I think it was this week, but maybe it was last, but I think it's part of this conversation, is this younger generation, these millennials, they don't function in the same way that our generations and baby boomer and even the ones behind us do. And largely speaking, what they do when they go into the mall is they eat and they hang around. So it's just it's interesting to see to see who is going to be in the retail world to watch, who's going to be nimble enough to reinvent themselves, and who is going to become obsolete. A lot of buzzwords like, we're going to have smaller concept stores. We're going to add elements like food. Barnes & Noble and Bed Bath & Beyond are two retailers that are talking like that. But in the end of the day, I think that even if this is going to be kind of a very slow morphing, I think 5 years out, we're going to see quite a different retail landscape. And this conversation is relevant because so much of Rockland's 59 corridor and the large mall, the second largest, I think, in the country, are going to be the laboratories for this change. Thoughts?
I don't know. What about is that American Dream? Is that considered a mall?
Oh yes. Well, a mall and.
So this falls down now from second largest, right?
Actually, you're probably right about that. I think we're maybe now with third largest behind the one in Minnesota, with the American Dream being, I guess, way out ahead. That's probably true. I guess we have lost our status of largeness. But it's still a monolith. I mean, it's still the amount of square footage is hard to get your head around when you really think about it. What is it? 2.1 million square feet. I mean, wow, that's a lot of space.
In the early 90s, maybe they started planning on this in the 80s. They opened up in
98, yeah.
98.
Yeah.
The whole mindset of America was different, though.
It was totally different. So, yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Just like when I spotted that even a store like Papyrus, which has been around a really long time, and you could say, well, who buys cards anymore? Who buys paper products? But people they do. They just buy them differently. They buy them online. You still need an invitation if you're having a wedding or an anniversary party or any occasion. I mean, we still communicate with each other. But yeah, the way we function through retail is definitely changing. And I noticed, I could be wrong about this, but which shopping center was I? I think it was in the Rockland Plaza, which has, I think, until now been a very viable shopping center. That's the one with Barnes & Noble, and where you're seeing, the closures. And wait, was it that shopping center? No, hold on. I think I'm confusing that one. I can't remember where it was, but I recently saw a Dollar Zone store. It could have been in the DeCecco shopping center. I'm a little fuzzy right now on which shopping center I saw it. But, that's the kind of race to the bottom that can you imagine everything is less than $1? A whole store that's less than $1.
Yeah, they're all over the place. I
mean, but that is really a race to the bottom. That is not what you want to hold up an economy. So, I think it's a very serious issue. I think, there's public officials need to participate, and obviously the retailers themselves, and even the landlords to be thinking about.
I'll talk about landlords right now.
Oh, was that what I came in on?
Well, the fire alarm was on for 4 hours this morning. And we couldn't contact anyway.
Let me just give you one more small thing to think about as we head off into our days. But this is the real estate story, and you might recall that we had reported on how there's a new measure out there where people who have LLCs have to list their names and addresses.
Yep.
So that. Well, in fact that law came basically out of Rockland. It was an urging from Rockland, and it became a state law. But now they've walked it back, and so condo owners don't have to reveal their identities. And I'm going to put that story up today. So if anybody wants to look at it, it's rcbizjournal.com.
You got it. Thank you much, Tina.